Hey, it's our Z100 Artist Interview Lounge presented by Celsius Energy Drinks. I'm Crystal Rosas. Today, an artist fresh off her first Billboard Hot 100 Top 10. One of the biggest and most viral songs of the summer. She's toured with legends like SZA, No Name, acclaimed love from publications like the New York Times, NPR, The Fader. Over 150 million global streams. We've seen her from Tiny Desk to the biggest festival stages. Her most recent album, Bird's Eye, features Childish Gambino, Ty Dolla $ign, has gotten praise from the Pitchfork, Billboard, and more. She's heading out on her sold out fall tour, owning the moment, redefining what modern R&B sounds like today, fresh off of the Today Show right here in New York City. Ravyn Lenae.
Hi.
You've been putting in work. Your first project out in 2015.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yep.
In high school. And now, like, this has been the biggest year
I know.
of your career so far.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot of gratitude, but also like waking up and being like, is this happening for real? Yeah. Just because like in those 10 years, my rhythm has been so specific the whole time. And I feel like all of that time has been leading up to this moment in a way. So I'm just happy that everybody is so excited and happy for me and want to get on a train right now. So.
Oh, they're on.
Yeah.
And I do want to take it back because our audience, your fans, want to know everything from the beginning. Yeah, you released your first EP, Moon Shoes.
Yep.
2015. Mm-hmm. You were in high school.
I was like 15 years old. Like, girl, what are you doing?
You were in Chicago, right?
I was in Chicago still. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so how did that happen? Because you started music as a little girl. What's that like?
Yeah. So I always knew I loved music. I love the arts. I love entertainment in all the ways. But I think around like entering high school is where I really started to think about it as my career choice in a way. And I remember at the time going to school, I went to an art school, Chicago High School for the Arts. And I studied classical, musical theater, opera, jazz, all the things. But I remember thinking, I need my own outlet and I want to figure out how to like pair both of these worlds together. And I ended up finding a studio literally around the corner from my high school. And I would go from there, from my school to the studio every day. Like I was clocking into a job, but really putting in that time so early on, I think, I don't know, afforded me the experience, but also the fun of just making things when you're 15, 14, and just trying stuff. And it seemed to work. People seemed to like it. And I just kept doing it.
So when you were a little girl, did your mom have you in classes or lessons? So what were you taking?
So early on, my grandma, I think, noticed that I liked music a lot. So she put me in guitar lessons. I did that for a little bit. And then piano. And then from there is when I started to do voice lessons. And I was like, ooh, I like this.
This is my instrument.
Yeah.
So what was your grandma and mom playing in the house when you were growing up?
Weirdly, my grandma isn't really into music, but she's always forcing her grandkids into music classes. But my mom had me when she was in her early 20s. So during that time, a lot of Destiny's Child, Erykah Badu, NDRE, and then my dad was playing a lot of Outkast, Pharrell, Devin the Dude, Gwen Stefani, Nelly Furtado. I don't know, just a mixed bag of things that I think really inspired me early on.
That's pretty cool because I hear that in your music too, right? Because I grew up with a lot of the same, and I hear and I feel that in what you're presenting to us now. And so when you're in high school and you put together and put out your first EP, what is that like? Are you sharing with your friends, family? How are you passing out?
Yeah, I remember during that time. Well, one, I was a SoundCloud junkie, so all of my time was spent on there. I released Moon Shoes through there. And I remember whenever I would drop a song, I would literally go through every single one of my contacts and send it to every single contact. And like, I'm sure people still have those messages still because I was bugging them to share, repost, or just listen. So that was my way of like standing outside and like passing my mixtape. But yeah, so that was like the early part of my career and really figuring out what ways to get people into my world.
You were also doing theater, you said. Were there any standout plays or parts that you got, some of your favorites?
I remember, I don't think I auditioned for any musical. There just wasn't any time. Like, our day was from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So any extracurricular things would have been like me doing private vocal lessons. But I remember some field trips that were super fun for me. Like, we would go to the Chicago Opera House and go see operas for the first time. And that, I think, was so beautiful to me. Like, I still like to do that now. Yeah.
Were you performing at that time too? Were you doing, I don't know, fairs or little cafes?
Yeah.
What was that like?
So I think the most interesting thing about Chicago and like the music scene there is that it's very close knit, and there's a lot of poetry slams, open mics, like things for like young artists to get into. And I was involved in a lot of that early on. So maybe some open mics, some talent shows. I remember there was almost a making the band type of thing at the House of Blues that you audition, and I got in, and then whoever sold the most tickets was able to be the headliner. And I remember I was selling those tickets for my life. I went to school and was like, and so many of my friends, so many of my family came, and that was my first official show.
Wow.
I was like 16 then.
And then soon after, I believe you got signed.
Yep. Very soon after
How did that happen?
Yeah. So I don't know how. Maybe they were looking online or on SoundCloud, but it was so early on. It was after Moon Shoes dropped. And I remember that House of Blues show is where my A&R at Atlantic, my A&R at the time, came and saw me for the first time at that show. So yeah, we signed like shortly after that, but that's when I was like, oh, like their label's interested, and okay, that's when like the music and business started to kind of come into play, like together for me. Yeah.
Who is helping you with that? Because we hear a lot of the times when young artists get signed, they're trying to find themselves and they're still developing their art. Maybe they feel like it's not happening in the time that they want to. So who is helping you navigate that?
I think early on, I was so lucky to have such a tight-knit music community coming from Chicago. So people like Monty Booker, who was like my first producer I really connected with, or Smino, or No Name, I think really embraced me quickly. And that, I think, gave me all the confidence in what I was doing. But also, my mom was going everywhere with me. She did not play. I was just, so young, traveling in bars, and, so having somebody in the room always who I knew was there for me and protected me was super valuable for me.
We're so blessed. I also had a stage mom that never left
momager.
me. Oh my gosh, so blessed. And then you started working on your EP, Crush EP, 2018. So that was a project that was your first project under your label.
Yep.
So what was that experience like?
That one, honestly, is kind of a blur because it happened so quickly. I remember, one, I was such a Steve Lacy fan, the internet fan, like all through high school. So when he tweeted out my EP, Midnight Moonlight, and he DM'd me and was like, I'm obsessed with you. Like, next time you're in LA, like, I really want to work. Shortly after that, I went to LA, and literally our first link, we made Sticky on his phone. Like, I recorded it on his phone in a session, and that's when I knew that we had this instant chemistry together. And I was like, we should keep this going. And I think there were 2 more LA trips after that when we just did the whole EP. But I feel like that music really like spilled out of us in a really natural and organic way.
And then with that, you're starting to understand your craft more. You're performing more. You're turning into your artist, which isn't easy because you have so many influences. And then it catapults into Bird's Eye, which got so much acclaim. And as I was just sharing, I mean, we hear jazz, we hear reggae, we hear pop, funk, indie. When so many people want to pigeonhole you. So what was that like?
I think this was probably since Crush the freest I had approached music, and I knew that in order to make a body of work that felt real and that felt natural, I had to let go of all these rules that I think we try to place on ourselves. At least I do, especially with, my past work and what it had to be and what it had to feel like and who it had to hit, I really went into the studio and worked alongside Dahi to just think about who is Ravyn right now? What does she have to say? And what does that feel like? And I think that was, spilled all over in Bird's Eye. And I think approaching music in that way, or relearning how to approach music in that way, is what allowed so much freedom and then so many, successes with the album.
And even the features on the album, I mean, like Childish Gambino, Ty Dolla $ign. How did that happen with Childish?
So I've been a fan of his forever. Yes. And Dahi is really great friends with him. Oh. But I remember having that, and obviously that's a very sentimental song. It's about my strained relationship with my father and the road to repairing that. And we had the open verse on that song for a long time because we just couldn't think about who is the voice that's going to bring life to this song and really represent it in a way that feels right. And I was working with Donald on some music of his, and that's when it clicked for me. I was like, oh, it's him. Like, I think he will have the best perspective, and I think I chose so right, because seeing how he approaches music, and just the care involved in it for him, I think was so special to me. So I love that song, and I hope to keep creating with Donald. Mm-hmm.
And in the process of creating, because you've been writing and working in the studio for so long, are there any things that you learned about yourself in your writing process that you need to have happen for a really successful session?
Absolutely. I think, one, working with a producer who you can learn things from is so key. And like Dahi's like my big brother now, but I remember in our earlier sessions, usually my process is to like get a loop up of, I'm heavy into chords. So that takes a while for me to really like chords. But once we have chords that I like, I kind of take the mic and I'll riff over it for a little bit, maybe do some melodies. And sometimes that can take from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. But I remember in one of our first sessions, he said, why do you keep doing melodies for like 30 minutes? The first one you do is always the right one. And I think that taught me to kind of reframe how I think music is supposed to happen. And sometimes it is that impulsive thing that feels right, and follow that. So I think that was the biggest lesson I learned.
What about the aura of the place that you're writing, or things that you need before or after? Yeah,
I think for me, I need sunlight in the place. That's why when I walked into the studio and it felt so bright, like I think that directly represents what's going on internally, and you felt so bright. And I don't know, whenever I walk into a studio, I don't like when it feels like a dungeon, or like we don't know what time it is because it's so dark in here. So if I'm able to step out, get some sun, or if there's a skylight or a window, like, yeah.
So you're not a night writer?
No.
Oh,
no. I don't know how people go into the early morning. Oh, I wish I could, but nothing good happens with me after a certain, maybe after 9:30, I start to fizzle and go, ooh, I need to watch a show. I need to watch a movie.
So then when you dropped this last project last year, and then your song starts taking off, what was the timeline of that?
Yeah.
Because it seemed like it just became this trend on TikTok. So what was that timeline?
Yeah, so Love Me Not, I dropped that as the first single to the album because we felt so good about that one. And we dropped that with the video. And there was definitely a good chunk of time in between the song dropping and then it's starting to pick up online. I would say around Christmas, like the holidays, is where we started to see some uptick on TikTok. Because I remember my family being with me for the holidays, but then the label being like, "You need to make TikToks." Like this is happening.
It's happening. Like we feel it.
We
bubbling,
feel like it's bubbling.
So can you put?
Yeah. So I remember doing TikToks with the Christmas tree in the back and having my little sister help me with them. So I remember that time very viscerally. And from there, it just started to snowball, and then it, spread through, other social media, and I don't know, it just kind of took on a life of its own. So,
in your eyes, did it seem really just kind of random but also organic? Obviously, it's such a song that connects, so it's not a random in that sense.
Right.
But did you feel like it was just organically like?
It felt so random.
Okay, yeah.
Because obviously we believed in the song. We thought it was special, but then you think like, okay, how is this song gonna find its legs and find the people? That's really the challenge with having a song that you care so deeply about. So I would say that it felt random, but then once I met the person who made the initial TikTok, it started off as a mashup between Love Me Not and Solange's what's that song called? What is that song called? Losing You, one of my favorite songs ever. That's how it started out, and I actually had a chance to meet the creator who made the first video. She came to a show, and she was like, you know what? I wasn't even going to post the video because I thought I didn't look cute in the video. And I was like, imagine if she didn't post that. Yeah, so I was like, thank you.
What show was this?
This was in New York at my Blue Note show. Yeah. So we invited her and like had a chat with her, took pictures, just because, girl, yeah, you really started it. And like, I'm so grateful.
Off of one mashup, off of one person, off a song that you also love.
Yep. Yeah. So,
and your fan like loved you and your music. She's like, I love
these together. And it just kind of started to snowball from there.
Was there any moments that you saw online that took you back that you were like, oh, this is beyond me now?
I think once I saw like moms doing it, I was like, oh, it reached outside of like the 15, 16, 17, 18. I feel like the moms really move stuff. I really do.
Well, the moms are the original onliners.
Exactly.
They're the millennials that were started.
Exactly.
Online.
So when it reached, I was like, oh, this is outside of like the Gen Z bubble,
What about some artists or celebrities that you saw pick up on the trend that you were like, whoa?
Well, a friend of mine, Coco Gauff, she was pushing it heavily. I'm like, people think I'm probably paying her to do this, but she just loved the song so much and she started to push it. I remember when she won the French Open, she literally did a TikTok with the trophy to Love Me Not. So I was like, that's a real friend. But yeah, beyond that, seeing just so many people from different walks of life and how the song is moving in their life. Maybe they're at dinner or out with their girlfriends or in the car or in the kitchen cooking. I don't know. There's something so fun about being able to literally see how people are interacting with the song.
And what's interesting too is that we always get that discord of, oh, they're an industry plant. Oh,
yeah.
But I mean, I've been in the business for a long time too, and seeing your journey, it's like you've been putting over 10 years, over your whole life,
my whole life
into music. So people say that to you. How do you even?
Yeah, they don't. First of all, that means that you poppin' when you start getting those allegations. Like, I welcome those allegations actually. But I think people just need to take the time to understand that nothing that feels overnight actually is. And once you start to really dig into your favorite artist journey, you're going to see that it takes 10 years or 5+ years to really, get your moment at something. So we're seeing that with Chappell Rowan, Sabrina Carpenter, Doechii, Charlie XCX. These are not overnight successes. And I'm so inspired by these women in music who just keep going. That's really what it is.
And something so exciting that just happened, Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
Back home.
Yeah.
Doing that debut. I mean, what was that call like when you heard?
I was gagged. Mainly because I understand what Lollapalooza is to the city. And I remember going and seeing like some of my favorite artists. And to me, at that time, it marked like that pivotal moment in their career when they got to play. The same as like Coachella. So having that moment for myself and being able to look in the crowd and feel like, these are my day ones who've been with me from the very beginning. It was just a full circle moment for me.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And then here now in New York City, the Today Show. Yeah. What was that prep like?
That was crazy. One, it's an early morning. And I don't know, like I told you before we got on camera that I would get really nervous about TV performances. But with this one, I felt almost at ease and I almost had to channel that confidence that I have when I walk into the studio or when I walk into any other room. So I think I'm getting better at those, hopefully.
And you've been in New York City plenty of times performing. What does the city mean to you?
New York loves on me so bad. This city was probably one of the first places that showed me that type of love. And even around me playing Bird's Eye for the first time, I remember I did New York, I did Chicago. Did I do Chicago? No, I did New York, I did LA, I did London. And I don't know, the way New York shows up for the artists they love is very different. And I don't take that for granted. So I'm super excited to be able to, play here on tour and, hopefully get more fans during that time. But yeah, New York loves on me bad.
Your single Love Me Not, as I mentioned, we play so much here on Z100 on the new hit list. How do you want people to feel when they hear Love Me Not?
I want people to feel how I feel when I hear it. I feel the mix of all my favorite songs, all my favorite genres into one. And I think the biggest compliment I get of the song is that if it doesn't feel like it belongs to really any time period, it can be from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, early 2000s, 2010s. And I think that's what marks a record that's going to live forever. So hopefully that's the case.
Oh. And you have so many big artists that are fans of yours and, your fans and the people that you've looked up to. We hear that in your music, like you just said. Is there anyone that you haven't met yet that you would love to meet and ask a question?
That's a great question. I feel like I've met so many, like as of late, like the people that I've been inspired by, like Solange. I met Santi Gold. Would love to work with her. Let me think of somebody. Maybe Diana Ross would be really crazy. I'm a huge fan, and I don't know. I think she's like the OG diva. Yeah.
Now, to wrap it all up with everything that's been going on in your career and in your personal life, how does it feel right now, though, to be Ravyn Lenae?
It feels electric, but also trying to learn some balance, I think, is like my challenge right now. So welcoming in so many good new things and wanting to do everything, but also having to think about, mental health, physical wellness, friends, family, all of that. I want to have it all and I want to do it all. So really priming myself for what's to come.
I actually just heard that. We were chatting with Renee Rapp, and that's the one thing that she was really struggling with is balance, because you guys are both in that like popping off era. Yeah. So what's like, who's helping you navigate that?
Well, I think having a great team who tries to remedy any, blind spots with that, but also taking this moment for what it is. Maybe everything not going to be perfect right now. Maybe some things will fall flat. Maybe I'm not getting my cardio, or I'm not eating the best, or I'm not getting the most sleep. But like, so many amazing things are happening, and I want to really like take the reins of that. So yeah.
Staying present.
Yeah.
Now, just to wrap it all up, this sold out fall tour, girlfriend. Yeah. What about the fans that have been there from day one and that you're going to meet in person? What do you have to say to them?
I want to say I love y'all. I see y'all. And this is a big moment for all of us. And I feel that way. I feel like I got a whole army behind me who's ready to fight. When somebody says, you popped up overnight, they're like, here are the receipts. So I love them so much, but also so excited to be able to, meet so many new people who are curious about me and what I'm like in person and what a Ravyn Lenae show feels like. So should be good.
You are giving us that Diana Ross realness, that sparkle, that smile, that sweet softness. Thank you so much. We know you're so busy. You have so much going on. We are so appreciative that you made time for us.
Oh, yeah.
We cannot wait to follow you more on the journey, to see you on tour, and to see what else you're working on. So congratulations, and thank you so much.
Thank you.